done?
The coal mine wasn't far now.
I mean, this episode called Ransom, and we have not met the ransomer yet. No.
Today, I would meet the kidnapper, and he would give me Alice. I wouldn't give him any other choice. A drowning man will clutch at a straw.
So apparently
I've been asked a few times, like, how much is Alan Wake, Sam Lake as a writer? And my answer is not really at all. But there is a certain kind of a truth to the idea that there are, of course, we always draw from our own
Why, that was my fault.
And I think that surprisingly, a few of the Remedy games in some way are metaphors and commentaries on video game development.
It all felt real, but it matched a textbook case of insanity.
I'm assuming this is where I'm supposed to go. Gotta go to the coal mine. Yeah, not the best driving feel. It's not Death Stranding or that truck game, which I don't know the name of, which I realised was just like Death Stranding. But without monsters.
This is Pat Main, and you're listening to KBF-FM. Folks, I want to apologize for kind of abandoning you to that looping music track last night, but I was detained. You see, I encountered a big-shot G-man with an itchy trigger finger who could use a lesson in manners and a boot in the ass. Not necessarily in that order either. Now, folks, I know I'm not being very informative here, and I apologize for that. I really should just keep quiet, but I'm just so peeved right now, because some people just shouldn't be carrying badges. And I'm just glad that our Sheriff Breaker was there to straighten things out. And if someone I met last night is listening, let me just say, I'm sorry if my mouth got you in trouble. I'm pretty sure you're not the bad guy here. Godspeed, son. I hope you know what you're doing. Now, on a lighter note, I'll be talking to Dr. Nelson all morning. But first, a little music.
There we go. They don't do a lot with the there's a secret society in this game, which Pat Main is a part of, and it's a secret society of people who notice the weird shit occasionally happens. But I do appreciate, literally, that's from Twin Peaks, and they don't do very much either, because sort of that entire plot just sort of gets overridden by the I forgot what they're called, military man. Where the fuck am I going? The dude from Stargate. I can make that. Well, I'll give Deadly Premonition this. It's got a map. I can't tell if I'm going forwards or backwards. One leaves their keys in their cars. This has to be Ford, surely. Now I'm thinking this is backwards. Checkpoint reached. No, I'm not. Yeah, so I was thinking, like, we got sequels to Monkey Island, Psychonauts, Alan Wake. Been eating good.
KBF FM. Hope you enjoyed that tune. Now, Doc, you were talking about life and finding that special someone, that soulmate.
Well, you were talking about that. I was saying I don't buy it.
Well, see, to me that's strange because I always pegged you as a hopeless romantic.
You got me there, Pat. But I think love's where you look for it. And you need to do a lot of looking, sure. But the idea that there's that one special person out there for you, and if you miss that chance, it's gone forever and you're forever incomplete. I mean, isn't that depressing? Or heck, childish even? There's plenty of fish in the sea.
Does like his fishing.
Apparently a fisherman has a fishing analogy for everything, but what you're saying, isn't that a little harsh?
Well, no.
No, he's been
Well,
nice. He's the opposite.
Potential for finding that connection isn't limited to what's essentially a chance encounter. How is that harsh?
Yeah, well, I guess that's a nice thought, but let me say something personal here.
Okay.
Now, well, I don't disagree with you exactly, but I can't really fit that together with what I feel, what I felt for someone, because she was the one. She was. And I let her drift away from me. Maybe I didn't put in the work, I don't know, but, well, since then, and it was a long time ago, but since then, there hasn't been anyone. Not like
Aww.
her. And I'm not saying I dwell on her or haven't moved on. I like my life. I'm not living in the past, but I do miss the way she completed me.
You can't argue with the heart, Pat.
I'm sorry, folks. I had kind of a scary experience last night, and let's just say it's shaken a few things loose.
This really is an awful jacket he's wearing. What the heck is like... He's wearing a hoodie underneath like a weird teacher's jacket. It's a really awful jacket. Anyway, let's get in this car. That was a nice conversation. Not everything has to be aggressively about, oh, look at all the things I'm going to have to visit in the night.
So the stories in our games as a metaphor of making video games. I mean, obviously, in these past 25 years, a considerable amount of my life has gone into making video games and thinking about video games and struggling with the process of making video games. So it's not a surprise that these elements sneak in. Alan Wake in particular is a lot about the process of writing a story and struggling with writing a story. I mean, obviously we see glimpses of him struggling with it and thinking about it. So it was... It's one of the reasons why this game is so close to my heart. Because as a writer and thinking about these things and then being able to use them as elements in the story felt exciting and felt interesting to me as a writer.
The one thing that he's not talking about, and I know this is like a modern, like it's from the remaster only. So that we're about to go into presumably a wood mill. And the reason there's wood metal in this game is because there's a wood mill in Twin Peaks. We just have to grab all the tropes. And he's not mentioned, like, he said... Like, there's been interviews about his inspirations for the second game. He's not really mentioned the inspirations for the original game.
For Mott, spying on the life
Mott.
of the ferry had been a disappointment. His boss had made Wake out to be something special, but Mott hadn't been impressed. He'd gotten a good long look at the wife, though, and he liked what he saw. Mott had fantasized about goading Wake into a fight, but it hadn't happened. Still, he'd get his chance to see if the writer had anything in him. He'd been promised as much.
So yeah, one of the comics has taken Mott in, and it has a lot more information about him. How he was influenced by the psychiatrist. I'm guessing there's a way to drive down there. Bright coal, Fool's Mine. Visitor. That's a coal mine, actually.
Early. I was supposed to meet the kidnapper at noon in the main building. The coal mine was quiet. It was a museum now.
Talks about the volcanic activity.
With Nightingale gone and the night wind blowing in through the broken studio window, Maine stared at Sarah. The sheriff looked away. Maine's voice shook with barely controlled anger. That boy's doing more drinking than thinking. I hope you know what you're doing, Sarah. He's got a sickness in his eyes. You take my word for it. He wants Wake for a reason, and it's not for anything good.
In 1970, a volcanic eruption below Cauldron Lake, while relatively minor, caused... Sorry, I just tapped the table. Most of the deep mining tunnels to collapse or flood. 32 miners lost their lives to the calamity, and all mining around Bright Falls came to a final stop. Now many of the remaining buildings are protected as historical landmarks. You've got to be cautious.
I didn't want to go outside. Cops had to be looking for me. The noon sun turned the place into a sauna. The day dragged on. Different scenarios ran through my mind. Ways of how I'd torture the kidnapper to get Alice back. Or the different horrible things he could have done to her. I imagined her dead. I had no way of knowing she was still alive. It was killing me. I was running on blind hope. It was all a waste of time. The bastard never showed up.
Wake,
Where the hell are you?
change of plans. You know where Mirror Peak is? It's a big mountain north of where you are. You follow the path from the mine, you can't miss it. There's a lookout point there. I'll be waiting.
I'm through being jerked
You
around by
want to
you.
see your wife alive? Because if you do, you better watch what you say to me. Do we understand each other?
I want
No.
to talk to Alice.
Yeah, and I want the manuscript. Don't keep me waiting, Wake.
What, you know about the fucking monsters outside?
I'm gonna kill him. I had to get to Mirror Peak.
Mirrors are more fun than television.
It was close. Maybe closer than ever before.
How do I get downstairs? Well, that's one way. Don't you open that trap door! Something spooky down there. No!
Now in this commentary I talk a lot about my own perspective and how I see these things, but it's always important to mention that making video games is very much a team effort. There are a lot of brilliant, talented people working at Remedy, and we're working on Alan Wake, and there are a lot of inputs. You know, as a writer, you have a story in mind and you refine it to a certain point. But then you have a lot of people bringing interesting, cool, surprising ideas to the table. And then it's a challenge to kind of pick and choose, take those in, and let them change it for the better.
When Thomas Zane fell for Barbara Jagger, it happened fast. She was young, vibrant, and beautiful, full of life. He had never been a very happy man, and without any seeming effort, she had changed all that. Zane felt good for the first time in his life. Everything she did was another piece of a jigsaw puzzle he hadn't even known he'd been missing. And best of all, she made the words flow, strong and sharp. She was his muse.
Quite an itchy eye. I watched Saw 10 today, speaking of something. I swear there was a relevant reason. Ow! Just gonna have to keep my eye closed. Alfred Woden. Stop hitting me, I don't appreciate it.
Now in this commentary I talk a lot about my own perspective and how I see these things, but it's always important to mention that making video games is very much a team effort. There are a lot of brilliant, talented people working at Remedy, and we're working on Alan Wake, and there are a lot of inputs. You know, as a writer, you have a story in mind and you refine it to a certain point. But then you have a lot of people bringing interesting, cool, surprising ideas to the table. And then it's a challenge to kind of pick and choose, take those in, and let them change it for the better.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I mean, I can see why people think it's better than the majority of them. There's something actually going on with that movie. I will say though, if you've seen the trailers, you know the literal first half of that movie, you already know. Oh shit. Oh, damn it. Don't make me do the entire thing again. Oh!
Now, in this commentary, I talk a lot about my own perspective and how I see these things, but
With Star Ocean.
always important to mention that making video games is very much a team effort. There are a lot of brilliant, talented people working at Remedy, and we're working on Alan Wake, and there are a lot of inputs. You know, as a writer, you have a story in mind and you refined it to a certain point. But then you have a lot of people bringing interesting, cool, surprising ideas to the table. And then it's a challenge to kind of pick and choose, take those in, and let them change it for the better.
I've got to finish. That's the one I've got to do next, right? I no idea how far through the other one I am. Oh, shit. That one I've got to play on a console, I also think. PlayStation 3, right? Shouldn't be too hard for me to get, though. So on my OBS, it just says Vini Cogniti. That's how delayed that the OBS is for conversation. PS4. Oh yeah, I guess I'm playing the PS3 one already.
What the hell?
We want the smoke. Okay. I have to turn the electric off. I see light. Where's the electric?
The only way to reach the hillside ahead was to go through the building. I had to find a way to avoid electrocution.
Oh shit. Yeah, I remember this section.
To go through the building, I had to find a way to avoid electrocution.
There we go. That means that turns off. I did not mean to shoot with that gun. Fuck. And I fucking missed. Where's the stairs? I think I have to go up. Yeah, I'm not. I'm so edged. Well, the edge would it might do some good. I feel like they're gonna have to do something fundamental though.
Some of the Taken retained echoes of their former selves, but these were just the nerve twitches of a dead thing. Nothing remained but a shell covered and filled with darkness. In most cases, these puppets were enough for the purposes of the Dark Presence. But for anything more elaborate, as with the writer, it was different. It needed his mind. And so rather than taking him over completely, it merely touched him.
Stop touching me, darkness.
There was no way the flashbang grenades were Standard Power Company equipment.
Just a shame the car doesn't work. Okay, a little late there.
I stared through the bars of the jail cell. Barry stood behind me, swaying on his feet, looking as ill as I felt. Agent Nightingale stood on the other side of the bars with Sheriff Breaker. Nightingale had a stack of manuscript pages in his hand. He seemed unhinged as he gloated. "Well, I've got you now, Raymond Chandler. It's all here. All the evidence, including conspiracy to murder a federal agent."
So there's a bar down here. That's also like a bookshop, which is a very good gimmick, because after a couple of pints, you're like, yeah, I'll buy this Raymond Chandler novel. Because Raymond Chandler is one of the obvious influences to Max Payne. I've not read it, but I've been meaning to. It's only short. It's like a, it's a pulpy detective novel. I've got a few books that way. Okay. I think I just went backwards. Maybe not.
For Alan Wake's story, a lot of the backstory we discover along the way comes from 60s, 70s, and even 80s. Now, I was born in 1970, and so kind of when I think about elements of Finnish countryside and cabin life during summers, it has this golden sheen on it that you often have, when you are growing up, and when I think about the backstory of the 70s with the birdleg cabin, these are the kind of feelings and images that I think about.
Go on. I don't have a choice.
The dark presence was moving ahead of me in the same direction I was going. A cold feeling settled itself in the pit of my stomach. Was it going for Alice?
The graveyard shift may cause cancer.
Eat. Now what am I doing?
The place was dead. A ghost town. Had been for decades, maybe a century. Things were never as simple in real life as in fiction. I had lost count of the times I had wished there'd be a clear reason for my writer's block. Something to fight, something to lash out on. There wasn't. I was filled with doubt. I was nothing like the hero in my books. Alex Casey had gone through his life with single-minded determination, never wavering from his goal. Even now, I was angry at myself, angry at Alice, angry at Barry. I was fumbling and I had no plan.
Oh, I should have jumped, I should have jumped. Oh, that was quick. How did you find it? Also, hello, welcome. How are you? So, Twin Peaks: The Return is going to be one of the inspiration points for Max Payne 2 as well. I'm pretty sure, considering Twin Peaks was one of the inspirations for this game. That's totally very different. Can I just jump down? I don't know if I'm actually supposed to be going towards this, but towards the light is usually a good thing. There's a part of it that definitely feels like a commentary on like violent media nowadays, like the inexplicably nice gangsters. And like there's literally a couple of actors that are alumni for that Pulp Fiction guy. I've forgotten his name. Don't jump down there, John. That's a bad thing to do. Am I going backwards? It's surely not possible to go backwards in this game. This kind of feels backward either. This feels backwards. I don't recognise that though. There's all these lights and no monsters. That's making me nervous. What about when you say you like the ending? Do you mean the first ending or the second ending? Because there's like a TV show ending and then an episode afterwards where he says "fuck you." I think I may have gone backwards. I think this is just like a big... Oh, in a ghost town. That big area. Okay, I definitely went backwards, didn't I? Because it's been too quiet for ages. Yeah, here's the bridge again. Must have gone down there and that was backwards or something. Nope. Right, this is definitely the way to go. Okay, cool. Boom, 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 boom. Alan's biggest weakness. Stuff. Safe haven. I need a key for the door. I found a key to the door. Excuse me. Save heaven!
Anything outside of writing is a struggle. I feel ill. I managed to make my way downstairs. There's a shoebox filled with books and papers by Thomas Zane. It's very hard to focus, but I managed to read some of it. He's a poet, and a good one. He writes of muses and creators summoning fabulous things from a magic lake, using his powers to shape the world of a realm of gods and dreams and demons, dark things that wait for a chance to slip through, wearing the flesh of men as disguise. Zane writes about himself, his girlfriend being taken over by a dark presence, about growing scared of the lake. Zane believes it's a mirror to the gaping void of darkness above, where some Lovecraftian presence
Okay,
lives.
it actually says
I called him
Lovecraftian.
upstairs. I'll borrow these things for my story. They ring true. They fit.
They really do like their mixed media. So there's a tree in the other episode called Great Old One. I always thought that was like the only clue. But no, he literally says Lovecraft.
The kidnapper had sent me a text. The message was full of spelling errors and insults.
Mm-hmm.
It was telling me to hurry up.
I feel like you probably wouldn't mention that. Even as a writer, you'd be too distracted by A, the monsters, and B, the fact your wife had been kidnapped. I've used all my flashbangs. Tunnels go to Cauldron Lake. I read it, don't worry. Hang on, I should check out. The siren call of wifey.
Without warning, the headache stabbed at my brain.
I don't remember this bit. I'm assuming this is a trap.
Alice? Alice? I'm losing it. I gotta get out of here. I'm losing it. I gotta get out of here. The hunters were big, thick-set men, confident and at home in the woods. They were feeling good, running on beer, ghost stories, and camaraderie late into the night. It did them no good, as they were taken by the dark presence, sucked deep into a darkness far worse than any ghost story they ever told or heard.
I know who I'm fighting soon then. Oh, well, we got a page from that.
Even behind the closed doors and curtains of his grimy room at the Majestic, the local motel, Nightingale could feel the locals' eyes on him, the unrelenting pressure of their judgment. He forced it out of his mind. For all he knew, they could all be under Wake's spell already. You do what you have to do to get the job done. He took comfort from the bottle in his hand. Please, he thought, just let me get through this.
Gotta get through this. Oh, I kind of wish I wasn't standing there.
I'd have to make my way up this mineshaft in order to go on. Maybe the machinery could help me with that.
The other door go. I had forgotten how fucking long the levels were. I know there's only like 6 levels, but so like it's like we've done 2 days. It's like multiple levels. This. Oh fuck! Oh fuck!
I'd have to make my way up this mineshaft in order to go on. Maybe the machinery could help me with that.
How did miners go up and down here? Not terribly difficult, but sort of neat conceptually. Take that wall. Going up or down? Fuck it, I'll go up. Up's more interesting an idea.
Lightning flashed behind the windows of Cauldron Lake Lodge. Tor Anderson laughed and held the steel hammer above his head. Nurse Sinclair was trying to calm him down without success. Tor grinned madly and shouted, "My hammer's up. Here's a friendly poke from Molnir, wench." He brought the hammer down with all his might on Sinclair's head. "We're on a comeback tour, baby."
They wrote good music though. Oh, everyone loves, you know, these sections where you're trapped in a small place, have to deal with it, or things attack you. It's everyone's favourite bits of games. That's where we would have landed. Not quite at the peak yet. I'm not too sure to go. Alright. I went the one. I went to a bad place and died. Cauldron Lake. The 8th deepest lake in the world. Lake Cauldron Lake is a caldera lake formed in a volcanic crater. The volcano itself is considered to be active, but has not erupted since the volcanic earthquakes of 1970, and even the underground activity was comparatively mild. Despite some property damage, there were no casualties. Cauldron Lake is one of the most beautiful spots in Bright Falls area, as well as a central figure in many folk tales, local ones. It's a popular recreational area for the area residents. And you know what I don't see? Well, I don't see shit. But I don't see a cabin, but like that would be considerably further down. We are trying to go... Is Mirror Peak up there? Because that's miles away if it is. I see a thermos. Over there. That's a bridge too far.
Mott had checked all of Stucky's rental cabins. There had been no sign of the wakes. It was dark when he'd found their car parked at the end of the road by Cauldron Lake. It made no sense. They must have taken a wrong turn, but there was no sign of them, and the car had been there for hours already. Frustrated, Mott stood on the rotten ruin of the footbridge that had once led to Diver's Isle before it sank beneath the waves years ago. The boss wouldn't be happy.
Alan kick. Alan shove, whatever. Alan kick. Takes this. How does one get in? One goes down there. Alan kick. I miss you, Tom. Did you write this? Tom, you talked to me on TV. Cynthia Weather. Thomas Zane. I thought. Oh. It's gotta be Cynthia Weather. Also, I know it is. But that's not the witch. So Cynthia Weather is the equivalent to the log lady, but she's a light lady instead. Lamp lady. Well, that's quite a hard fight. Right. I don't know what hit me then.
could see Cauldron Lake. I thought I could make out the spot where the island and the cabin had been. There was a light near it. It had to be a boat.
It's over there. Oh, I know what's over
I was
there.
close now. I had to get there fast.
That's
I
the
dreaded what I would find.
retreat, isn't it? Of course, it's at the edge of the lake. Has to
I
be.
tried to hold on to Alice, but her form melted away. I was losing control. Dr. Hartman stood in her place. I wanted to hit him, but my arms were jelly. He smiled. It was a reassuring smile, and I hated him for it. I had to give you a sedative. Don't fight it. You went through another rough period. Right now, it's very important that you stay calm. We don't want you to have another episode. You're a patient at my clinic. Have been for a while now.
Wait! Are you?
Ah, we're reaching the end.
Hey, I'm here! I'm coming!
No! Get away! Sorry. Please, leave. The boss didn't know who he was messing with. I didn't know. I swear, I didn't know. We don't have his wife. We don't know where she is. She's probably drowned.
Shit. Back into the drink. There's Hartman. That's the end of the episode. Right, I'm gonna have to talk. So Twitch does strike you for this, but you can combat it because contextually it's part of the Alan Wake experience. But I'm gonna talk over this anyway. We did hear the song a bit in, like, I think the first episode because it's on the radio. But it's I really like this gimmick. What do you think about the game? I'm going to cut this in two, but I probably will with the other episodes as well, especially since it's 2 days this one. But yeah. So the comic book with Mott in, because like he'd make a good boss, right? And so would Hartman, but like obviously Hartman does eventually become a boss for Control. But Mott, I think he's gone from the game. But he turns up as a Taken in one of the comics, and Hartman's still able to influence him. Like, it tells you just a lot more about, like, Mott. It's sort of neat. But yeah, we'll get ready for some gaslighting in the next episode. He even said in the commentary that, like, you got to play the idea that he may be insane, and I guess that's what this episode 4 is all about. It also introduces the idea that computer game might be canon. I mean, it's the Easter egg, but like one of the patients at the lodge is a computer game developer, which, you know, you could, in the same way that Max Payne is canon, because he walks into a room and says, I'm in a computer game, it's the worst thing I could ever imagine. And you're like, oh, we're not really seeing Max Payne's real life, we're seeing a computer game version of it. In the same way the comic book is not an accurate representation of his life. And like Teenage John thought that was very cool. Like, didn't really. It's like the first time something meta like existed, and I was like, oh, I see. Like, it's sort of abstracted in both ways. It's neat. And they do it in Control as well, where they imply Control's a computer game. They do it in all of them. It's like a thing Sam Lake likes doing. But yeah, I'm gonna keeping all of this, but I'm gonna talk over it. Anyway, I thought I might have a little bit more time. I do want to try start Cocoon, which I've got access to, but I'm not doing 40 minutes of Cocoon. I think I'm ready for tomorrow. Day 1, day 0 has lasted a couple of days, but if I keep it at day 0, I'll never try. So I'm going to push it to day 1 again. But yeah. I've been... What did I say? Yeah, I had a dude round here today from the ground people, and they said 6 to 8 weeks might have built people in. Hopefully I'll get an email.
On Alan Wake.
We'll how do I get to out? How do I get back to... Do I leave? Oh, you got to do that, don't I? And you quit the menu, yep. We're at the lodge. But yeah, one last thing, because I keep talking to my friend who fucking hates this game, and she's happy that I mention it. But like, I can see the frustration, because they do drag. If you're not really into the wood settings, then they drag so much. And Alan just keeps on finding ways to be in the wood at night, and it's like, stop being in the woods at night. That's where all the bad things happen, Alan. But God, just imagine how expensive that lodge must be. Yeah. I'm gonna let you go, I think. I've been the Johnstruct. Been having an Alan Wake remastered adventure. Maybe he's pretty. Oh, I mean, especially in this version of the game. But yeah, I think I'm enjoying the gameplay a lot more now. I know that you just use all your greatest stuff. Like, a lot of people just really struggle to use their most powerful weapons in games, and you just sort of have to force yourself to not do that. And Alan Wake is definitely designed for you to actually use all the best tools. I think it's actually a strength, sort of. I mean, I'm never going to call the gameplay great, but like, it's a strength for the game that to take all your weapons away, to force you to use all your decent items, and actually have fun with the game. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you later. Tomorrow, of course, it's going to be my Frights and Fights playlist. Frights and Fights? Yes, that's the one. And that'll be Resident Evil 2. Look forward to that.